Circle of Them. I'm your host, Marcus Smith II. We are back with another edition. Man, please stop shacking up with us and make sure you go hit that subscribe button. We're going to be giving you great content. And you know, we unmask the feelings that cause anxiety and depression. But today, I have a good guest today, and she wears a lot of hats. And I want her to explain everything that she does. But I have a great guest today. Wonderful guest. How are you doing today, Kennedi Riley?
Hello, hi. My name is Kennedi Riley, and like you said, I do wear a lot of hats. So I'm in school to get my doctorate in physical therapy. I graduate May of 24. I am a certified yoga instructor. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta, Sorority Incorporated.
Let's go.
Yes, I'm a health and wellness practitioner. So anything with manual therapy or mental health or physical health, I am all about. In addition, I'm a public service activist. I'm always in the community. I have Between Us Girls, which focuses on bridging the gap between generations of women in our community, bringing us all together to empower one another. And my health and wellness brand is Kin Mind, Body, and Soul, because I believe in the importance of connecting our mind, body, and soul. And then my name is Kennedi.
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up, man. That's important. Obviously, you guys hear that mind, body, and soul. That's huge. When you're talking about trying to figure out which way you want to go. But all the time, how we start on this show, we always tap in with each other. And I just want to ask you, what's the mood like? What's your mental health like right now? What's your feelings like? Because we don't necessarily do that with one another all the time. We don't push that on one another. We just, if they say I'm good, then we just leave it there, right? Yeah. So I just want to ask you, what's the mood like? How you feeling today?
Well, thanks for asking. I would say I'm doing pretty good today. I woke up this morning, so that's a blessing.
Right.
I'm on spring break, so I'm happy about that. Prior to today, last week, I was definitely kind of stressed, a little bit overwhelmed, and I don't know, I guess you could say I'm kind of hard on myself, so it's I don't know if I'm doing enough type of thing.
Yeah.
But I try to counter those things with yoga and doing things that I like. So and pushing through, because I knew spring break was this week. So today I'm great. Last week it was a little different.
But see, that's important that you were honest about how you feel right now, but then you gave a perspective of how you felt last week. And I think that's the everyday person.
Right.
But a lot of times when we see on social media, well, if you see my social media, it just looks like I'm just happy all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's not really the reality.
Right.
And people hearing you actually confess that, hey, I was going through some stuff last week, but I got through it, and now I'm doing better this week. I think it's huge for the community itself, because it lets people know that, hey, I'm not alone. I'm dealing with this, and I can get through it too. But what made you get into the wellness field?
I always knew I wanted to help people. When I was younger, I have a cousin who's the same age as me that because of a medical malpractice, he suffered birth injuries that resulted in physical disabilities. Yeah. And so he had, when we kind of all grew up together, me and my cousins and my family. So we would all be in the house, and his at-home physical therapist would come in, and he didn't really want to work with her. And so she would utilize me to help him. And so I think that was my first run-in with therapy. After that, I just knew I wanted to help people. I thought about nursing. I'm it's not really for me. Thought about being a vet because I love animals, but I don't want to be around animals all the time, because I was I don't want to smell like them. And then in high school, I played a lot of sports, but I ended up going to PT for my knee. And when I was there, I was this is it. This is what I want to do. And it kind of brought everything full circle. So from junior year on out, I was okay, I want to be a physical therapist. How do I become that? What do I need to do? And then that was tunnel vision.
Wow. So tunnel vision, becoming a physical therapist, that was your thing. I think a lot of us also, we're searching for our purpose and trying to figure it out, okay, what does God have me on this earth to do? But a lot of times it's through trial and error and just trying different things, you know what I'm saying? And it's okay to, I was telling some kids the other day, like, it's okay to try different things just to figure out, you know, what you want to do in life. You don't have to have it all figured out at one time.
Yeah, that is true. I met a lady along my journey who, it was an interesting experience. So basically, I worked at a hospital, and this lady was coming around doing Reiki or like some type of thing. And I know there's like all type of, people feel differently about everything. But I don't know why I felt inclined to say, okay, like, yeah, like we'll do it together. And basically she did this thing where she held this thing up at like different chakra points on my body. And it would like spin if like you were aligned, and it wouldn't if you weren't aligned in certain areas. And when she did it on me, going through the different, it was. I was like, this is an interesting experience.
That's cool.
But when she did it, but for somebody that had no idea who I was, it was random. She was pretty spot on with some of the things that I was struggling with internally, but also spot on with other things. So like for my purpose, she was saying like, I know my purpose, and my purpose, I'm fulfilled in my purpose now, but my purpose is higher than where I am. And I was working as a physical therapy tech in a hospital, and I want to be a physical therapist. But she was also stating that like you have to like continue to work towards what you believe. And I know that, you know, you struggle in this area and this area, but you just have to like push through. And like for that, for me, like when I was, again, along my journey, you know, you have ups and downs. So in a period where I was kind of down, always still a little bit up, but like down, she came in and it confirmed for me, like, okay, like that was God, because like, maybe I am doing the right thing. I'm gonna just keep on going forward. And I think looking at instances like that kind of help you continue to progress towards your goal.
Wow, that's real, because sometimes we need that confirmation, and when we do get it, it's a great feeling to know you're going in the right direction. God's confirmation is amazing. So mental health, to me, I feel like the one word that always comes to my head when I think about mental health is vulnerability. And I know we were talking before, Aaron, you kind of asked me, you know, what brought you here? And I always kind of like give that same, not the same, but I'm not afraid to tell people, hey man, I dealt with suicide. I mean, that's the real deal of it.
That's your testimony. It's your story.
So what does mental health mean to you?
Mental health to me is about your psychological, emotional well-being in a whole, but it's how you present today. So if you asked me, how was your mental health? Or today, it was great, but it's also not discrediting the days before. So it's, I was going to say patient presentation, but it's how the person presents. And diving a little bit deeper into that, because I can seem happy all the time, and people always think I'm happy, but which also means they always think I'm so strong, not realizing that you can be happy, or you can smile and still go through things.
That's real. That is a lot of times that I've seen. I can't remember her name. I think she was Miss USA, I believe. I'm not sure, but it was a suicide situation. And people that knew her were saying that she was a strong person, and you would have never known that she was dealing with that. And a lot of times when you deal with suicide cases, or you deal with people who dealing with mental health, they have a smile on their face, and they hide it, so well. And that's what I did too. I hid it. My family was like, "You dealing with what?"
It's hard to believe.
They. I feel like after the fact, they started to kind of like figure it out, and we talked more about it. But at first, it's a shocker. It's like, you in the league. Like, you living out your dream. You know what I'm saying?
What's the problem?
And that's what I couldn't get past. I couldn't get past the part like, I'm living out my dream, but something still, I don't know what I'm doing that's not right. You know what I mean? And that was just protecting my mental and making sure that was straight. Did you deal with any struggles throughout your journey, especially getting to where you are now, that you wouldn't mind sharing?
I don't mind sharing. I absolutely, I told you earlier, like being Black in healthcare is one, but personally, even though that's pretty personal, I was like the type of person that, well, I still am. I'm goal driven, and what I want, I'm gonna get. I wanted my doctorate by 25 because that was the pattern and the plan that I set out for myself to get.
Right.
And that did not happen because I realized I did half a year at a program in Maryland for physical therapy, and at this program I came across, well, I was really close to all my instructors because like that's the type of student I am.
Right.
But one of my instructors was like, Kennedi, like I'm just not sure, like the math isn't mathing. You understand this information, your test scores are terrible. Like, what is it? She asked me if I had ever been like diagnosed with a learning disability or like anything. And I'm like, nope, I've been pretty good. Like, I don't know why I would have that. But then it made me reflect too, like my senior year in college, I had a professor that I had my freshman year, again, my senior year. And finishing my final, I'm like, all right, you got to grade this right now. I need to know what I got.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, he grades it, I pass it. And then he said, you know, Kennedi, I really think that you should consider getting tested before going into a doctorate program, because I think for that higher level of education or learning, you're going to need something additional. And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm graduating.
Yeah.
I don't care what you're saying. I'm moving forward.
So this is the second person that said
that. Was the first. But when the second person said it, I reflected back on me blowing off what this man was telling me.
Yeah.
And then thinking about that, and I also thought about my childhood. I was always in trouble in school. I was always respectful, but I just didn't really care. Yeah. Until I realized I wanted to be a physical therapist and I needed to get things done. But when I was in middle school, they questioned if I had ADHD or anything else, but they took it to, well, they decided to say, no, it's behavioral. She's just acting out. And they put me on daily progress support from like then all the way into high school. And that seemed to work, but it didn't. It just kept me like quiet in class, not distracting others. But it didn't solve the problem. I made it through college because and to where I am now just because I worked hard. I got to a place where I couldn't, my work wasn't like, things weren't balancing out, and my instructors were noticing that. And so I appreciated her for having that conversation with me. I went home that winter break. I got tested, ended up having ADHD along with like dyscalculia, which makes sense because I'm like terrible at math. But
that's okay. I mean,
everybody has their strengths and weaknesses.
I ain't good at. I thought I was good at math until I got to a certain point.
Yeah, and then when like your kids grow up and you're gonna see the new math that they're doing, it's just not for us. But like after that, I got diagnosed. I went back and did my spring semester, and that was fine. I didn't have medication. I wasn't going to therapy because I didn't have time to with school. Yeah. And I did better that semester because it gave me extended time on my exams. But I knew like I wasn't like all the way where I needed to be. So I ended up leaving school, working at this place I used to volunteer at.
So you had to leave. So you had to leave school.
That was the better decision because I needed more help than I could get. I was like in the middle of nowhere. I was having anxiety attacks. I was depressed. I didn't know that that's what was going on. I was just kind of pushing through it. Like we talked about, like you're young, you don't really know. Like I was like literally hyperventilating. Like sometimes like on the floor, just like the weirdest things. And then until I was tired, I would fall asleep, wake up, and then finish studying or like go to class. You know, like it was like it never happened. And when I went to therapy, I would describe some of the things that were going on to my therapist. Wow. And he was like, oh, it sounds like you've had a lot going on.
So through those struggles, like the ways that you found coping was like you started to talk to a therapist.
Yeah, that I did a lot of yoga because that helped me to quiet like everything down and understand where I am, who I am, where I want to go, and like get rid of the background noise, because you don't really realize when you're going through something how traumatic it is. But like, I wouldn't want things any other way. Like, I'm glad I got diagnosed now than then, because it taught me hard work.
Yeah.
But it also, like, it changes your everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, to know, okay, like, this is me, this is what I have. But I honestly think there is no normal, because everybody has something that they're going through. So
Right.
the normal that we set, a society has, I don't really, like, care for that term.
Right.
But
Because at the end of the day, even though, you know, that's something that's a part of you, like, it doesn't stop you from doing what you want to accomplish in life.
right.
And I think that's a good thing about, you know, where we are and, you know, how God can push us forward. It's just like, man, we don't stop because that's like P. Diddy. Like they said, he was riding on the short bus.
Yeah.
But he's still successful. He's still pushing through. He's still doing great things.
He's still making money.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and even to the same thing with it's a lot of kids, or I mean, I'm not gonna say kids, but people in general who weren't good in school, but are amazing entrepreneurs. They're amazing at a lot of the stuff that we have now in the world today, but they weren't good school people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Really, school in actuality taught us to become workers.
Yeah, little working bees.
Yeah. Teaching us how to type and all this other stuff. You know, I know how to type fast, but
There's no application to this.
No, didn't teach you about financial literacy. No,
and that's one thing I say, like, to all my friends in education or in the school systems, like, how can we, without me putting like on another hat, you know, how can we get some financial literacy programs going in the school systems? Because we need them. Just like, well, they got rid of home ec, or they got rid of like carpentry and things like that. They were talking about getting rid of music. But like, financial literacy is something that we should be taking, because if people choose not to go to college, and just even in life in general, like, how do we do our taxes?
I was just about to say that. How a lot of us go into college, we don't know what taxes is, no nothing. We just seen our mom, hey man, I got to pay my taxes, or I'm getting a tax refund this year. We don't know anything about it. So I definitely think that's a strong disconnect. But the best way I feel like that it could happen, it may not be able to happen in the school as fast as we would want it to, but we might have to take matters into our own hands and just have, you know, these yoga, the mental health forums, have a financial advisor there, and the community there, you know, just to push it to them even more. So I know we was talking about yoga. Can you talk about the importance of yoga and what it's done for you? Because for me, even with yoga, it's hard. I still have a hard time with shutting my mind off. You know what I mean? And I even have, so to me, you know, God speaks to me in my dreams a lot, right?
Same.
But when he's not, my mind is still going when I'm asleep. You know what I mean? And I've noticed that. But even when I've tried to do yoga, or if I'm trying to sit still, it's hard for me to turn my mind off. You know, so I definitely wanted you to talk about, you know, the importance of yoga and, you know, what it's done for you in your life.
Okay. First, I want to speak on what you said about like turning your mind off, because that is extremely hard.
Yeah.
My mind races like crazy. Sometimes I can't sleep. And then like a part of me was just like, you know what, I'm just going to embrace this, because this is clearly what God wants me to be doing right now. But I think that even with my yoga practices and meditation, it takes time to learn how to quiet your brain, and I'm not perfect. But the benefits of yoga, and I have to say that people don't understand the importance of stretching. And like, you all are gonna like fold up like lawn chairs, if you don't stretch, because everybody is always focusing on strengthening, strengthen, and that's important. But honestly, I would say it's equally, if not more important, to stretch as it is to strengthen. Because if the like tissue around a muscle, or let's say, the tissue around a joint is tight, then you're restricting that joint, so there is less mobility. You know what I mean? So if your muscles are all strong here, but you can't go all the way up, that's because, things aren't, like if it's 1 + 2 or 1 + 1 = 2, things should work in tandem together to achieve a goal. And I don't think that people understand that, like, you should, like, the warm-ups are there for a reason, the cool-downs are there for a reason, and we should utilize them. But also, I think that you should stretch, like, most days of the week. Like, I think it's 4 to 7 days out the week, while strengthening, it should only really be prescribed 2 to 3 days out the week. But, you can break that down. Depending, like, legs, arms, or whatever.
That's great information.
You should definitely
I'm taking note, I'm telling you.
Do that. But, okay, back to yoga. It is good for your joint mobility. It's good for your overall mental health and wellness. It helps you with sleeping. Helps regulate your blood. It helps your digestive organs. It does a lot of things. It can increase serotonin in your body, or dopamine, because of the exercise effect, which serotonin or dopamine. For dopamine, for me, because people with ADHD kind of lack dopamine. But serotonin is something that they say, if you suffer from depression, or I hate the term suffer from, but if you present with depression, or if you have depression, you may have low serotonin levels. And so doing things like yoga can help you focus your mind, but you're also putting your body through something that it will enjoy, whether you realize you enjoy it or not. Yoga, I also love because it is only focused on you. So people go to yoga classes with the perspective that they need to bend like the next person, when that's not true. The most hyper flexible person can end up having their hips replaced faster than somebody that is just, regular with their hips. And so if you focus on yourself and your work, that's how you accomplish where you want to go. And the same thing in life, right? If you turn everything to focus on, okay, what do I want to do? What do I need? How do I get myself where I'm trying to go? Then you can encompass other things along the line. So with focusing on yourself in yoga, it's about what your body has the capability of doing in that moment, which may be different from me or the next person. And so I try to start there when I talk to people. Like, please don't worry about other people, because everybody has something else going on. So you have no idea.
Kind of like be with yourself. And you alluded to that already, kind of, that most people, they're doing this. They're like worrying about
comparing.
But that's what social media does. We see, because the algorithm, I always say this, the algorithm, like what you are looking at, your profession, that's most of the stuff that you're seeing, right? Because that's what you like, right? And so you see other people in your profession, and you're like, dang, I'm not moving fast enough, or this is not happening enough for me. But at the same time, we have to run our own race. And you were saying, even with yoga, it's about focusing in on you and yourself. And that's one of the things that I struggle with, that I want to get better at. So I may do some yoga with you too, even my wife, because last time she was pregnant, I think she did a little bit of yoga, but I noticed that yoga really, helped her be calm and be, as zen with herself. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that the viewers, I think, should even take into account, as you're speaking about yoga. But I wanted to, how do we understand the mind, body, and soul connection? You know what I mean? And you may have alluded to that a little bit, but could you break it down, in your terms?
Yes. So, and I can give you a good example, but we're not just like people, or like we're not just like our thoughts. We have like energy with us, but we are our brain, right? Whatever is going on in our mental or our emotional status, we are a physical being, right? So we have to take care of our physical bodies, or not, depending on life you want to live. And then your soul, which is like how you connect spiritually with yourself, but also with like what's around you. So whether that's a belief system, you believe in God, the universe, Buddha, whoever, you choose. And so connecting them, an example I can say is people go to church to uplift themselves, make themselves happy, maybe focus on something specific, discernment, different things. So in the church example, you have my body being in a physical temple. You have your mind, which after the sermon, you feel uplifted, you feel motivated, you feel focused. And then spiritually, you were in that place where you feel like you are getting what you need. So that is encompassing your mind, your body, and your soul. Because you've done those three things, it allows that connection of the mind, body, and soul. So with regular life, it's finding ways to do things that are going to make you happy. Make sure that they're aligned with what you want for yourself spiritually, or what you believe spiritually. And again, like taking care of your body. So it starts with like asking yourself questions like, what do I want, or what am I looking for? What do I need? Because if you ask yourself what you need, you figure out your needs, and it's like, okay, well, how do I get that? What do I need? If I know that going to church makes me feel good, I'm going to, if I can't go in person, I'm going to watch online, because that's going to set me up for a better week, because life's going to come at you regardless.
Right.
And how you're able to like dodge those bullets, or what maybe looks like to other people that you're dodging those bullets, I think has a lot to do with how you function. And for me, functioning is making sure like I'm aligned with all three. And I'm not always aligned. I can definitely tell when I'm not. Like walking, I'm like, something's going on.
Yeah.
I need to figure it out. And I found recently that when I was I wasn't really out of a line, but I could tell I was out of a line. And I just did like 7 days of yoga straight. And I was like, wow, it's just kind of crazy. And it's just like 30, 40 minutes of yoga just in the morning, or a couple of times
really
in the
helpful.
afternoon. Yeah, it was helpful because it allowed me to recenter my thoughts, allowed me to get away from things that are distracting, and again, focused on like me. And I know you're a believer in God, so am I. And God believes, or God wants for us to be whole, because the closer we are to ourselves, the closer we can be to Him. So aligning yourself,
that's a gem.
The way, just aligning yourself to figure out yourself, to be whole with yourself, to me, like, brings you closer to God.
Well, it's crazy that you speak about that, because my next question was kind of around self-love, and how we view ourselves. And I agree with you when you say we have to be one with self before we can connect with, the man above. Because if we have all of these things going around us, and we kind of sometimes, that's my brother too. We kind of sometimes have so many things going on, we don't spend time with ourselves. If it's just 5 minutes or whatever it may be, we never give time to ourselves. We're giving our time to other people. We're giving our time to other tasks, but we don't realize if we just give 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes to ourselves, how much it'll help us, and it'll help our day even go even the better. And like you said, things are gonna come up, right? But it's about how you handle those things when they come up, and are you ready for them, through your mind, body, and soul. Because I'm gonna tell you, it was times where it wasn't that long ago, maybe 2 years ago, maybe. It was times where literally something would mess up my whole day.
Yeah.
I would just let it just tear up my whole day. But now I try to be patient with myself and understand that this is just a test. This is just that something is happening, and I'm gonna be better for whatever's happening right now.
Yeah.
Later. And so, back to self-love. What is self-love mean to you when it comes to your mental health? And I know you kind of alluded to that a little bit too, but I wanted you to dive a little bit deeper into self-love.
Yes. So I definitely am an advocate for self-love. I love self-love. I agree with everything that you just said, and I believe that not only does it start with yourself, but it's just doing things that make you feel good, being around people that make you feel good, showing gratitude, because if I express that I'm grateful for you, that still makes me feel good, because there are things that you've done that make me grateful for you being in my life. So that's self-love. I love affirmations. I love reading the Bible. I love doing things like yoga or different exercises. Food makes me happy, doing adventurous stuff. Traveling, I love. But finding the things that bring you joy, passion, and uplift your spirit, so then you know that when you're having a bad day, this will make it better.
Right.
And you can turn that day around, or simply expressing gratitude when your day is going downhill. It's you know what, but I'm grateful for this, that, and the other. Yeah. So it helps you move through your day. So self-love is really important, and I'm somebody that can be mean to myself, because I have goals and deadlines, but it always, when people say what are you rushing for, or who put that on who, it's okay, no, that was just myself on me. And so I've learned, or I'm learning to be nicer to myself, or when I notice that okay, I'm being hard on myself, I can say that to myself, you're being hard on yourself, look at the things you've accomplished, look at where you are, look at where you're going. You're fine. You're perfectly fine.
That's so real, man. Because I was just talking to, my wife yesterday. It was yesterday or the day before yesterday. And I was telling you before that I used to have a team, and man, great team. I won't get into the weeds, but certain things didn't work out, but we still communicate and stuff like that. But I'm so, because I understand the podcast world and how you have to be, if you are posting on Thursday, you should want to post each Thursday and try to keep a consistency going. And I was telling her, why am I so hard on myself? All right, I know I have to do all these things, but if I don't, is the world going to end?
No.
You know what I'm saying? I could I'm the one posting it. If I don't post it on Thursday, I'll post it on Friday.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just giving yourself the wiggle room, giving yourself grace. Even this morning, it was I kept spilling the coffee before I left, right? And I was just what is going on? I can't get my stuff straight. And usually I would just be mad and it would just mess up, my morning. But I had to sit in that and really just, like you said, it's the smallest thing, but I had to, I just thank God for waking me up this morning. I'm going to be patient with myself and not try to rush, but still get to where I'm going. But, sometimes we have to really be zen with ourselves, because we will be rushing, trying to do stuff. And then sometimes it's not even done right if we're trying to rush and do it, rather than just sticking with taking your time and doing it the way it's supposed to be done. So, man, what you said was real profound, and I agree with you. I think this conversation has been dope. And what are some pros and cons? Because you alluded to this earlier too. What are some pros and cons of being Black in healthcare? What do you feel like?
Sometimes I feel that you're not always accepted, and there's definitely a barrier that you have to push past. and it's quiet. It's like quiet as it's kept. You know, a lot of things are going on because people are trying to stop you from. It's suppression.
Right.
That is really what it is. And what suppression is meant to do is to keep you from achieving your goals by any means necessary. And that is in the field that I am working towards being in. And even if we talk about the acceptance rate for blacks into PT school, it's like less than 10%. It's really like less than 5, but I'll say like
That's
less than
retarded.
10%. Yeah,
That's crazy.
That's the reality. And then like if we say minority, the problem grows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but what I will say is that it makes what people try to put in your way to stop you, use that as a catalyst to keep going forward, because it's just preparing you for what life may have to offer you, but it makes you stronger. So the next thing that you like come across, it doesn't hurt as much, or it's like, you know what, I could deal with this. I've dealt with it before.
Right.
You know, work smarter, not harder. With everything, I say put it in writing because, you know, but it's a challenge, and it's hard to get people to want to talk about it because you don't want to like put yourself in a bad position. But there's racism in the school systems. There's racism in the, or it's systemic, you know, like in the hospitals we work in, like, I've seen it. I love everybody, but I can't be blind to what I have seen. I love animals, like I said earlier, and I love community. And what I wanted to do with the hospital I worked at was bring animals to the hospital to do like pet therapy for the workers or the employees and the patients. And this manager was not responding to my emails, but I had already gotten word like, Ken, this is what you need to do before you go to her. So I did my part. I did everything I needed to do. I'm just like, can you just respond to my email? She doesn't pay me any mind in emails, but after like a group meeting, I go up to her, I'm like, hey, like, I've been emailing you about this. And she's like, oh yeah, no, I don't really think somebody in your position can do something like that. And I'm like, well, what's my position? Because I just wanted to bring the dogs or animals to the hospital. And I said, and this is not on your time. This is not on my work time. This is something I want to do on my free time. And all I need you to do is approve it. And then she starts talking about like, oh, well, you have to get this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, that's already done. So, but because I did it in front of other people, she ended up going to her office, responding to me, and was like, we can meet about this. I did the event. The event was phenomenal. The CEO ended up coming out of her office to the event, and she gave this guy that I work with credit. He was this white guy. She's like, oh, like, Mike, you did such an awesome job, blah, 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 blah. And then Mike told her, he was like, oh, that wasn't me. Like, I'm just here to be here. Like, that was all Kennedi. And he gave me the credit that I deserved, which then, like, I got Employee of the Month, and things are great.
Let's go.
But then she emailed me the like following Monday and asked me if I could like type her up everything that I did so they could implement this as a program regularly. And it's like not the same person that like, you know, gave me this hard time. And I told her that like I could just come back and do it regularly if that's the case, because I don't want to take time away from work to do something, you know. But so things like that, like somebody telling me that somebody in my position can't do community service, you know, like
it's you know, I agree with that too, just because I mean, when you're a good person and you try to do things the right way, you know, God, he handles your enemies too, makes your enemies your footstool real quick, you know what I'm saying, and it turns right back around because you were doing something great. And I even seen it in so my wife, she had a at-home birth this last time with my son, right? Great experience. We had a midwife there. You know, she didn't have any medicine or anything like that, and she did it naturally, which was cool. My son was 10 pounds. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, my wife is 5'2". You know what I'm saying? So for anybody out there who, if you are a short female,
I'm sure,
and you don't feel like you can have a 10-pound, 11-pound baby, you can. All right, first and foremost, don't let the doctors tell you you can't, right? Because they just want to, you know, they want to get you in there and get you out. But the first time we had my daughter, the experience was not cool. You know, the nurse that came in there didn't check on her, not one bit. Didn't see how she was doing. She just came in there to do something, but didn't talk to us. Right? It wasn't warming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't a personable experience.
And what from my understanding, because I could never, because the rate of women dying through birth who are black
It's pretty high.
is high, but I couldn't understand or fathom why though. And so I was, you know, asking, and my wife was telling me that it's because that they think we're stronger than we are, and when things do happen, they are not quick enough to act, and they just think that stuff is just we're just, you know, strong individuals. Then sometimes it's
just too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of just actually helping, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, sometimes it's the fact that they may not know how to help.
Yeah.
Or what to do. I know that a lot of our medicine or research has been done based off of everybody else but black people. So for cardio problems, a lot of people have been, they just started research within the last 20 years about cardio problems that affect black people, or like just cardio in general. So blood pressure, heart rate, all of that good stuff.
Jesus.
And so if they just did that in the last 20 years, that's like the duration of like our lives. What about before? So now we have people that are in their 60s, 40s, what have you, that don't know things about their selves because the research wasn't done prior. A lot of research was done on middle-aged white women and middle-aged men, white men. And so if it does not fall within those standards, people don't know what to do. So if you're in the hospital, one, they might not be comfortable.
That's a good.
Yeah, they might not be comfortable dealing with a black patient, even though they should be, but they also don't necessarily know how to properly care for or treat a black person because they aren't black, nor do they know what we deal with. Some of the tests that I learned in school, like, we're like the few black people that are in there, we're like looking at each other like this doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
You know, like this. They talk about like things on the pinkish white skin. It's like, but my skin's not pink. So you know, they don't. That's me saying have grace, but in the sense that you work in the hospital or any healthcare situation, you should have the background that you need. We all have to take like equity, you know, diversity, inclusive type of trainings, but they're not actually being applied.
Dang.
Yeah.
Man, I hope y'all got that, because
it's hard. But the more people that get into the field, the better it'll be, which is why, again, you can't let it suppress you. You just have to like keep going, because it paves the way for others. Cause I mean,
that's why I kind of got in the field, being a life coach. I know it's not actually being a therapist, but I can be some form of a bridge.
You can help somebody,
right? You know, because it's not a lot. It is starting to pick up, starting to be more, because we do need people that look like us in these fields, so our people can actually feel comfortable. Like you want to go in to see someone, especially yoga, see someone that looks like you doing what you want to do. And I just think that is very important. Same thing with therapy. A lot of guys, a lot of women won't go in the therapy room because that person doesn't look like them. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's just the realness of it. You know, would you change anything about your journey? And knowing what you know now, what would you tell your younger self? So it's kind of a two-part question. Okay,
I would not change a thing about my journey. I have worked really hard to get to where I am, and I love my journey. What I would tell myself looking back is to be patient, to be calm, you know, just continue to trust in God, and everything is going to work out as it should, because it's not always your plan, it's His plan and your plan, and together the plan or the outcome that you may want is going to be in your foreseeable future. So just be nice to myself and tell myself that it's all going to work out. Something you said earlier that I believe is that you keep moving forward,
Right.
or like you take a situation, you learn from it, and you just like don't stop. That is it. So things happen. Like you may fail, or you may not do what is expected of yourself, but you use that as a catalyst to keep going forward. So,
can you tell the people where they can find you?
Yes.
And what you do too, you know what I mean? So people can come find you and try to get some work with you. Get that mind, body, and soul together, you know what I mean?
So my Instagram is Ken, K-E-N, Mind, Body, Soul. So KenMindBodySoul on Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, you can find me on there. My email address is the same, kenmindbodyandsoul@gmail.com. Next May I'll be a physical therapist, so I could be your physical therapist. I'm a yoga instructor. I do manual techniques like to include cupping. There's some massage therapy, joint moves. Anything in the therapeutic realm is pretty much me. And I'm also here just because I like providing. I love community, so anything community related you can catch me at. But just good vibes, you know, if you need a word of encouragement, because energy is reciprocal. So, you know, just keeps flowing.
Man, well, there you have it. That's the Circle of M. I obviously, don't forget, man, make sure you subscribe to our channel. This is, you know, the dope content that we're putting out, man. You actually are our first female too.
And it's Women's History Month.
Let's go.
Yes,
Let's go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let's go. So we appreciate you coming on, and I think this was a dope interview. Very, you know, I think a lot of people can take a lot from this interview. I've taken a lot from this interview, so appreciate it. And man, we are out.
Yeah, tune in next time. That was great.
Yeah.